Hello everyone, I'm Sheikh Suleiman. Today I'm going to present my seminar topic Architecture before Microservices. First of all, introduction. Before the rise of microservices, software systems were designed using a traditional architecture such as a monolithic, layered, and service-oriented architectures. These architectures are very efficient for small applications, but as a system because large and more complex. They shared they started facing issue like scalability, flexibility, and maintenance, the problems. In presentation, I will explain the major architecture that exist before microservices, how they evolved over time. What is the software architectures? Okay, software architecture define how two components of a system are structured, connected, and communicate with each other. It sets the foundations for scalability, performance, and reliability. In this model, the entire application's user interface, business logics, and then database is built as a single unit. That's only, for example, an e-commerce app where login, product, cart, and payment all are in one code base. The main advantages are it's a simple to develop, test, and deploy. But the disadvantage is it's difficult to scale specific ports and single bug can crash the entire app. And then the redeployment is required for the every small changes. Now we see about monolithic architecture diagram. The diagram shows how monolithic applications are structured. All layers like UI, logic, and then database are stacked together. And the function as a one. If one part is failed, the entire system may go down. Now we move on to layered entire architecture. Okay, the layered architectures, also known as entire architectures, divides a system into a separated layers. The common layers are presentation layer, business logic layer, and data access layer, database layer. The benefit of this design, it's better organizations in maintainability. However, the problem is that the layer are still dependent on each other and scaling still required. The duplication of the whole system. Now we move on to layered structure, layered architecture diagram. How you can see the layered architecture, the user interface communication with business logic, its interface with the data layer, and finally concurrent to the database. Each layer performs the specific task but still remains connected. Next, move on to service oriented architecture. The next stage is evolve or service oriented architectures or SOA. In SOA, applications are divided into multiple services, and these services communicate through the Central Enterprise Service Bus. That is short form ESB. For example, a common HR, payroll, and finance service communicate through the ESB. Okay. For example, The advantages, for example, a company has a HR role, payroll, and finance service communicated through the ESB. The advantages are reusability, scalability, and integration between the different technologies. But the disadvantages are the ESB can become a single point of failure and configuration is quite complex. Then move on to SOA architecture diagram. The diagram shows how SOA works. All services like HR, payroll, and finance are connected through the central ESB. The ESB fail, communication between all the services stops. Next, move on to comparison tables. Here, here is a quick comparison between all the pre-microservices architectures. Okay, monolithic, layered, SOA. Monolithic, simply I will tell you, simple but not scalable. Okay, layered, organized but still dependent. SOA, reusable but complex. Each step try to improve flexibility and scalability but still hard implementations. Now move on to next phase. Challenges in pre-microservices. The traditional architecture faced several challenges. Difficult to scale individual modules, limited flexibility in choosing technologies, poor fault isolations. On error affect the whole app, slow deployment cycles, difficult for large teams to work dependent. These problems lead to the development of microservices architectures. Next, we move on to evolutions of microservices. To solve these issues, companies start using microservices. Small, independent service, they can be deployed and developed and then scalable separately. In each services has its own database and communication using APIs only. This makes application more scalable, faster, and fault tolerance. Then we move on to architecture evolution timeline. This timeline shows how architecture evolved over time. Monolithic, layered, SOA, microservices. Each stage improve flexibility and scalability, leading to modern cloud native architecture we used. And then we move on to real world exam. Okay, I simply to explain the in real world exam, the Amazon. Initially, Amazons are used in large monolithic e-commerce system. Yeah. As a business grew, they faced challenges with scalability and deployment. They then, like orders, payment, and recommendations, became a separate services. This improved their speed, reliability, and performance nowadays. Then we move on to last conclusion. To conclusion before microservices architecture, the monolithic, layered, and SOA were widely used. They provide structure and organized but had limited in scaling and flexibility. The shift to microservices solved many of these issues by introducing independent, scalable, and then easily deployed services. That's all. Thank you. Thank you for listening for my presentations. Thank you.